Okay, 3, 2, 1, live.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Today we want to talk about the adoption of digital securities in the financial world. My personal opinion is right now that we are having some kind of hype in this field, but it's a substantial hype. We have lots of organizations, banks, financial intermediaries moving into this direction. We at the university, we are educating people in the field. You know, people are really coming to us massively wanting to be educated, not just around crypto assets, but also around the domains tokenization, digital securities, and so on. Then next week, we will hold our crypto assets conference here in Frankfurt. I didn't expect it, to be honest, but we are basically sold out concerning sponsors and tickets, right? Also very interesting, because I expected that because of the crypto winter, all this slows down a little bit. This did not happen. And this is due to the fact that we really put the topic around digital securities with the MiCA regulation, crypto custody rules, the upcoming DLT pilot regime, and all this stuff into some focus. And that apparently is rewarded by people, because in Frankfurt, people are really discussing this topic in very, very much depth. That's the banks, the financial intermediaries, that's lawyers, that's startups, that's consulting companies, and so on. So it's some hype. Yes, you cannot compare it to a Bitcoin, NFT, ICO hype, but it's still some regulated hype going on, so to say. And this feels quite good because finally we see really companies moving into the field. Having said this, we would like to discuss all these developments, regulatory expectations we are having, the market developments, impressions from the current market in Europe and in Germany. We would like to discuss this with this entire panel. And therefore, I would like to ask everyone here in the room to briefly present himself, herself, and giving some context of the company you're working for. And then we start directly into discussion. Anybody wants to get started, or should I point to somebody? We are not doing ladies first, because this would then also discriminating in the other way around. So we are now. I just want to call maybe Volker. Let's start with you. You have a lot of projects going on, and therefore I think you have a good overview.
Okay, thank you. My name is Volker Lehmann. I work for EY AFB. We have been acquired by EY in December last year. We are going to be the digital transformation hub for the financial service organization of EY in Europe. I myself am by education a mathematician, and I'm working very closely with Philip on digital assets, a special seminar series for C-level at Frankfurt School. And we're doing certain things advising our clients how to step into the wonderful world of tokenization. And I think still there is a kind of crypto winter, but the smart guys are now looking what to do next, and to use the time where the hype is going on, but it has slowed down to some extent. But the smart guys are really looking for the use cases, preparing them, and bringing them to light. And it's always a different thing that just to make a POC or really doing the real stuff. It's had some challenges too, but there are smart guys on the in the market that use the time. And I think we going to go to this later on.
Perfect. Thanks for this brief introduction. Who wants to go next? Maybe Bert?
Yes, sure. My name is Bert. I'm working at KfW, and KfW is one of the world-leading promotional banks. We are basically here to commit and improve economical, social, and environment living conditions across the world and in Germany. And we are, federal-owned and state-owned as well, so a federal and state-owned bank. We have around 7,700 people working for KfW within its entity, also with the IPEX, the DEG, and KfW Capital. And why is it relevant for us? We are refinancing ourselves only, or mainly, to 99% via the capital market. Last year, we refinanced 90 billion euro equivalent. So we are really looking into the space like that.
Very cool. Maybe next we go with Melanie, and thereafter Enno.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Melanie, and I work for Deutsche Bank within the corporate bank part. And I am part of a team which is called Virtual Asset Service Provider Sales here in Frankfurt. That is a team that is building up a selective portfolio of virtual asset service providers. So that would be, for example, crypto brokers, crypto exchanges. We also look into the custody business models, everything related to blockchain in the end. And so what we are doing is we have a very selective approach. We really focus on AML risk, AFC risk, everything surrounding the security of client funds. And we offer existing cash management products to this new client vertical. In the end, I personally find it very interesting. And I think blockchain is also future technology. So therefore, it's really important that we as a big international financial institution play a role in this field, work with the clients, build partnership with the clients. And not to only speak about my team, Deutsche Bank, of course, also is working on other digital asset use cases, for example, custody or tokenization, to name the two biggest ones. So yeah, we have, as an institution, we have a defined strategy for digital assets and currencies, and are currently developing own products. We are in exploration phases. We also take a look into DeFi use cases or metaverse.
Excellent. And then finally, Enno, please.
Okay, last but not least, hi everyone. My name is Enno Henke, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Heartstocks. We are an infrastructure provider for asset managers and financial institutions, and we provide tokenization infrastructure. We are the first ones in Europe to enable companies to tokenize and to produce equity as tokenization vehicle. So what we're doing is that we produce like spec companies, fill them with property rights or any kind of assets, and afterwards make them investable and tradable using in fully regulated equity share. We will be the first ones to solve the MTF regime, the DLT pilot regime. And so we try to enable big financial players to use tokenization for their daily doing. And so the discussion today is quite like very close to our main business, and I'm happy to discuss these topics with you today.
Excellent. So to get this discussion started, we want to structure the discussion as follows. First of all, we want to discuss observations about the current market. You know, what do you see currently in Germany, Frankfurt, elsewhere in the world with regard to your domain, tokenization, digital securities? Then we would like to talk about some examples. You might be involved in some example projects which are out there. Maybe we hear some names, but maybe this also needs to be confidential. Then we will talk about the next steps where maybe more regulation would be necessary to allow companies to get started. And maybe there are some gaps here and there. Some people demand the digital euro such that atomic settlements could take place. Other people want to have the share company in Germany to be now being passed through the Parliament, also Aktiengesellschaft in German. And then finally, we will also talk about the upcoming huge regulation, for example, MiCA and DLT pilot regime, and what this means for the financial world in Germany, of course, but also overall in Europe. So who wants to get started with current impressions and observations in the market? What do you see? Do you see a hype? Do you see a decline? Do you see more happening elsewhere? Are you surprised that so much is happening in Frankfurt? Are you maybe disappointed that so few projects are happening? So let's do the entire round. Maybe Enno, we start with you, if that's okay.
Totally fine, because all the other panelists are working for a big company adopting crypto right now in the DLT space. I'm the only one working for a smaller company, so maybe I have quite a different look on the market right now as the other panelists. I would say the market is moving in the right direction right now quite fast. And even way faster than the last 2 years. Everyone expected to be able to use tokenization, and there would be a big hype around tokenization, all the DLT topics for the past years, but it didn't really came through. But in the last 6 months, even though there were quite complicated market times, I have the feeling that there is way more adaptation of the big players than in the years before. For example, that Siemens produced a 60 million tokenized financial product to have a loan tokenized was quite a big step into the market. And I think the movement and the waves that it produced were quite high. And also very other different big players are right now reaching out to us to adopt these new possibilities. I would say in the main frame is that the good products will have sustained over the last years, and like in the .com bubble, the good companies went through, and I would say also that happened to the DLT space. In the last years, we saw a lot of companies come and go, and I would say the good companies with high quality products stayed. And these players will think right now have a good adoption on the market. And even though always big players are right now getting more and more into DLT products, more and more into tokenization, into crypto, and you see a lot of M&A transactions, a lot of mergers, and so on and so on. So I would say there is a lot of movement in the market, and also the big institutions try to assimilate quite well with the new opportunities DLT provides us.
Perfect. Who wants to go next?
I would actually agree with that, what Enno just said. I also think the trend is going in the right direction. I don't see it as fast as Enno probably, because coming from the financial institution background, I think it's also worth to mention that the regulation plays a crucial part for regulated institutes. So I think right now it's not as easy to go into this space because the regulation is somewhat still uncertain, or it's not harmonized. We did see some good steps in Germany, for example, with the crypto custody being introduced into the German banking app, or the Securities Act allowing for tokenized bonds. And I think those are steps that are really important for banks. When I talk about myself, because they set the frame in which we can adapt business or build up our own products. And I think it's really crucial that, for example, when MiCA comes, this will also fasten up the whole process of adopting digital assets.
Very nice. Volker, what do you see currently in the market in terms of initiatives, drive? Are you happy? Are you disappointed? Are you positively surprised?
I'm positively surprised, but I just have to make one disclaimer. I think it's true for everyone. It's just what I'm saying. It's not what EY is recommending, or there is no investment advice. And I think everybody can subscribe to this disclaimer. Just wanted to have this said. Yes, we see certain activities. I mean, it's we see, I always have these three layers. First is the payment. There's the perspective of the things that we do. It's much about Bitcoin and the crypto assets as a carrier of value. There have been some drawbacks, but I think the most potential comes with the second layer, which is about rights and ownership. And we can differentiate of physical assets, like you have a car, like Heartstocks did these transactions. Very much is about real estate, because it has a certain size. Because unfortunately, not everyone has the laws of Liechtenstein available because you have to have some magic going on with the lawyers. There have to be some construction to use this. And this is still it's work. I think it's legally safe, but it's work to do, and maybe politicians can improve on that to make this more smoothly. And then we have financial the rights of financial assets, like you mentioned with Siemens, and we have the bond act here in Germany and things like that. And we have the metaverse, that is virtual assets are tokenized. I think there is much happening, and the last layer will be the tokenization of information, and this very much pays into ESG and the information, or when we have certain things for interchange of information in derivatives and so on. And I think the second and the third part are underestimated by the market participants. And I think especially the custody, I think the big banking groups in Germany, the Sparkassen and the cooperative banks, they are working on to make the custody available at scale. And I think this is there will be much more dynamic coming in the next year.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, we will discuss this in more detail. Anybody wants to add something?
Yes, maybe from KfW side. I just want to frame it a little bit, what KfW is doing. We are not going into crypto, I can tell you that. What we are looking basically is in the capital market to gain efficiency. So what we are seeing in the capital market is that we have lots of media breaks. So, you know, someone is sending an email in form of a Word document to someone else. And this is basically done because you have lots of data silos. So each one basically has an own data silo, and getting that together, it's very crucial for the so-called straight-through processing, which we now would shorten time frames. On the one hand, reduce costs, and make an emission more sufficient, so that basically also smaller size could be feasible. And in that sense, we are looking basically at the capital market in terms of digital asset. However, one interesting thing I would also like to mention is that we are on a blockchain space. We are also offering a product which increases basically the workflow of working together with certain institutions, because we have seen when we are working with several donors together that it's very difficult to also, you know, rearrange basically the information and so on. So therefore, we are offering a product called True Budget, which is now a digital public good. So you can basically download and amend it, and it's like a workflow tool, so to increase efficiency in the market. So we are not only looking at capital market products, but also like software kind of, and through that promoting basically the blockchain on the one hand, but also other program in order to reach our goal to help and improve economical and social and environment living conditions.
Excellent. Very interesting to see this. Maybe I add my own impression. I already gave some insights from the Crypto Assets Conference. We expected fewer people there. We expected lower energy in this entire sector, and we were positively surprised, especially from the digital security area, that people do have some interest in the field. Well, not too much is out there in the public in terms of reports by the media, but you see in the background when you talk to people over beer, for example, or in the background what people are working on, you see that many parts are moving. You see that banks are employing more people in the field. You see consulting companies employing people. So that's very, very positive, but not too much has come out yet in terms of scalable solution, right? So many people are still experimenting. Scalability is still missing, but this is basically obvious because such transformations cannot happen overnight. So I think this is absolutely fine. And concerning projects, I think we have to highlight the Siemens transaction, where many participants were involved. For me, this came as a surprise. I didn't know that Siemens is doing yet another tokenization project in this field. This really surprised me, that especially Siemens is so active in the field. It's also interesting that not so many other projects are currently in the media, which would be worth to highlight. So things are moving, it's adoption taking place, but it also takes a while. on all sides. The regulator has to educate themselves. Of course, the consulting guys, they have to employ people, educate themselves and their clients. Lawyers have to understand the laws, and so on and so forth. This all takes time. Maybe we jump to the next chapter of this discussion about examples. Anybody here wants to highlight in a very illustrative way what you are working on with regard to tokenization? So what is exactly the asset? What is exactly the token type? Is there a trading place in there or not? So let's not discuss the abstract layer of PowerPoint slides, what can be done and what's the benefit and cycle time and efficiency stuff. But let's go down and in the working room, so to say, and really discuss what projects are you working on exactly, in case you are able to mention them, and if you wish, also name names or keep them confidential, but such that we really get a feeling what are the projects you're working on. Anybody wants to give it a start? Some of you guys, Bert, you mentioned already one or two, but maybe we shed some light on more projects. Maybe
Yes,
I know you are a startup, so you can speak most freely probably, and then we do the entire round. I would expect that maybe Melanie might not be able to tell us much because of Deutsche Bank being heavily regulated. Yeah, let's see what we hear. Enno, give it a start, please.
Of course, as a startup, I like to start, and maybe I give a very good example how the market is adapting to these kinds of products. Because right now we're talking to a regional state to finance an ESG investment using our infrastructure. So there will be like a 5 million euro project to fulfill an complex building structure with a very strong ESG approach. And in the end, we will receive CO2 certificates and they will be sold. And afterwards, the revenue stream will be done to the investor afterwards. And I would say like a year ago, if I went to a regional state and told him that he can finance his projects using the blockchain and using financial DLT-based products, they would gone crazy and would run away. And they were quite interested, and they see the DLT-based products as a quite well-working solution for them to have a new way of financing their products. So I would say the most difficult customer type, the state himself, is also adapting into the field and is interesting and sees it as a real opportunity, not just as a marketing tool, but as a real opportunity against the traditional financing solutions. And also we are talking right now to very big multifamily offices. They are investing in private equity, and right now the structures for private equity investments are quite inefficient, and using the blockchain we can solve some of these efficiencies today. So we are talking about adoption of the market, and I think the market will start to adopt these kinds of products when you can offer better products using DLT than before. So the new product have to be more efficient, cheaper, faster, better in comparison to what you can have on the market right now. And the blockchain is not allowed to be an excuse for worse products, but has to be the reason why there is a better product today. And so if you can offer a DLT-based financial product today that is better in comparison to the old product, economically better, with a better customer service, or in total a better solution, there will be adoption. And the big players, even though regional states, are seeing the DLT finance solution as a comparison and in concurrence to the old traditional financing ways. So yes, there are good examples in the market, and they are adopting, in my opinion, quite fast.
Okay, but once again, what are you exactly working on? Can you say this, or is this confidential?
I don't would like to tell names. As I said, regional state and one of the biggest multifamily offices in Germany. I cannot say the names, but they are, yeah, the state himself, of course, is known, and also the multifamily office is a well-known player on the market, who you wouldn't expect to be a first row front runner, but as you can see, or as you can hear, they are, but they are only when the new product that you can offer on a DLT basis is better than the old product before, when they can make money, when the product is better, when the process makes their life easier and cheaper, then you have a service that you can offer to the traditional players. They are not interested in using blockchain as a marketing tool. They are interested in using the blockchain as a tool to make their lives easier and cheaper.
Excellent. Perfect. Who wants to go next? Maybe Volker, you must see a lot of projects, but you can also not name names, I guess. But at least you
yeah,
see
kind of tricky. I mean, maybe put two highlights. I already mentioned you need a certain size for asset to be tokenized, to have the lawyers paid, and so I think still real estate is a thing I can really recommend, and I think we have a kind of stable environment from the regulatorical side there already, and I think the potential of fractionizing, and even if it's just horizontal fractionizing, it means that you buy a part of it, is very interesting. And one thing I like to add on the comments Bert has made is that we need to have the changes and the frictions that we see in the DLT, because it's not, if you have tokenized something and then at the end of the day you have a Swift message released to make the money go around, then I think we are not in a DLT environment. So I think one of the major things to come somewhere around with the stable coins, and maybe with some backed token that you can use for interchanging the money without having any value changes like we have in Bitcoin or in Ethereum. And I think there are already certain stable coins out there, but we need to have some really good euro for this. And I think there is the government is asked there, and there are certain clients are going around this thing, but it's still a challenge on the regulatorical and on the legal side. But I think this is one really important component if we look in the long term to have a real good ecosystem, is the stable coin.
Interesting. The question is, how stable is the stable coin, right? With the banking crisis going on, let's see.
Yeah, it's a question how it's backed and what is the infrastructure.
It's backed by euro, you know, that's the problem.
Yeah, well,
but let's see what happens. It was just a joke. Okay, any more points you see in terms of real examples in the market? Melanie, would you like to add something, or maybe you want to not say something on this question?
Maybe not in regards to examples, but maybe one point I would like to mention from, maybe because we didn't talk about that a lot yet, what we see our clients asking, demanding, asking for advice on are different use cases. For example, NFTs for brand loyalty, crypto payment options from really big corporates also that don't really have any relationship to blockchain yet. Then we see clients asking, can you offer a custody solution? What about tokenization? So I think there's so many use cases at the moment that are, as you said, in the evolving state, but are not like developed yet. Let's put it like that.
Interesting. Okay, perfect. Any more? Maybe who wants to?
Maybe I can add some, without, of course, getting too much into details. However, I can tell a little bit how we approach basically the current situation. We are looking basically who has done transaction at the moment, and we see a lot of EIB transactions which have been taking place, on public ledgers as well as private ledgers. We are, of course, in exchange with them in order to understand what have they learned out of that and what we can gain from that. What we are now basically seeing is that the ecosystem is now developing in a very friendly way. That you can see that with the electronic security law, for example, you have the crypto possibility to issue crypto paper. However, you still need to learn how you can apply it basically. you can see basically which player are coming to the market and being very active. And we also can see that with the crypto licensing that lots of wallets will be available. And so investors are basically more likely to invest in crypto assets because their wallet is there, and they don't have to take self-custody. They can, someone else can take over the custody for them.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. And concerning like more speed, more acceleration, more adoption, what is missing right now? Is it education? Is it rules? Is it laws? Is it the digital euro? Or is everything fine as it is and we just now need to experiment what we have? Anything, any desires you have?
Maybe it's a mix of all of them, I would say. Regarding on maybe what company you are, one point is more important, one point is less important. Speaking for banks right now, or like in my personal view, but what I think banks require the most is the regulation. If there's uncertainty, it's always hard to go into that path and develop solutions. And another point you mentioned is about the education. I think especially for a huge organization with many people, whenever a product is developed or a client is onboarding, there's so many departments that are part of this development. For example, risk functions, AFC, the sales teams, the coverage teams, the compliance teams. And I think it's really important that every department or every team has knowledge about the underlying technology, so blockchain in the end, because each team has to do their job. For example, the risk functions need to be able to assess the risk which is coming with the new project or the new economy client. And therefore, it's really should be a top priority to build up this education through the institution.
Yeah, but to be honest, I understand your point, but I also have to say here that, to be very honest, banks have a problem here because they are not investing enough money into their education. Volker and I, the Volker here in the call and I, we are working heavily on executive education in this field, and we really have issues getting our courses full, right? So on the other hand side, we have young students coming to us, hundreds of them wanting to be educated, but on behalf of senior people, senior executives wanting to understand this, investing time and money such that we can educate them, I don't see this, right? And that's an issue which we cannot solve because we have created offers, but people are not taking this offer, right? And I think there needs to be more to be done in this field where senior executives are understanding the opportunities and also the risks, and they have to provide more budget to their people and more time to the people. I hope I can say this, but in my mind, this is, in my personal opinion, one of the strongest bottlenecks we currently see, that education cannot take place without allowing your employees to study all this field, and without money, you can also not educate people. This doesn't work for free and at low cost and in zero time. And that's basically, I think, one issue I would see in terms of bottlenecks.
I agree.
Maybe Bert, Volker, would you like to add something in terms of?
I couldn't agree more, and I think I can take the angle to Silicon Valley Bank on that. Education is critical, and education is very much about trust. And if you don't understand the thing, there is no trust in there. And I think especially with crypto custody, the most important thing is trust, as we see now with Silicon Valley Bank. I mean, 20% of the balance sheet was withdrawn within 1 day. I mean, this is never seen before, and it's all about trust. And trust comes and understanding the risks and understanding the potential is all about education. I couldn't agree more on that.
It's all about education, indeed, and people can do this at zero cost in case they have time. In case they don't have time, they have to spend money to speed it up. But without time and without cost, there is no education. It's very simple. And it's also not true that there are no people out there who banks could employ. We have a distribution list of thousands of people who might want to be interested in a job in the blockchain field. So there are people out there. It's not true that there are no people to employ, right? We don't have a gap here in terms of skilled labor. And I think that's something I can also mention. But you have to find the access to these people. I think that's something to be mentioned. Any other bottlenecks in terms of regulation?
I would like to add something, Philip, because I would like to add to education that there is a need for good business cases. The institutional and players in financial institution will always adapt when there is a good business case. The good business case demands on the market demand and the use of the product and the adoption of the products, and the adoption of the products and the market demand is depending on the quality of products and the opportunities to structure and restructure good financial products. So we are also talking about the regulatory approaches and regulatory possibilities to produce good products. And there we have a lot of good examples, for example, Liechtenstein or Switzerland, with a very good regulatory approach that allow companies to build up new financial methods using DLT to provide better products than we have on the traditional market right now. So on the one hand, it's education, that you know how to integrate these new opportunities into your business structure and to produce business cases that you can earn and make money with. But on the bottom half, always the market decides what is a good product and what will be adapted. And so it's the use of the products and the products themselves that have to be better than what we have right now on the market. So I would say it's the business cases and the regulatory opportunity to produce good financial products. And in the end, we will have adoption when the business case is good enough. I would say all the financial players in the history always adapted when there was some money to make and the business case needs to be good enough to adopt these things. And when the business case is good enough, they will start paying more money for education because they have the aim to make money. And right now we are not quite there because there is a lack in the products themselves. And if the business case would be good enough and the market demand would be good enough for these products, there would be better business opportunities, and afterwards they would spend more money in education and have a bigger adoption. But it starts with the regulatory opportunities and it ends with the quality of the products.
Excellent points. And this is also something which is only slowly developing, understanding what you can do with the technology and also what you maybe better should not do with the technology. Okay, then I would now like to move on.
Sorry.
Yes,
Philip, just one thing hindering us right now. I think I just want to mention that I told you that we are moving around 90 billion a year in assets, and as you know, we are as our funding basically. The huge problem we are having is that we do not want to have additional counterparty risk. So we don't want to transfer this money to another bank and then tokenize it or get it into certain token where we can pay. So what we are really needing is CBDC. That's what we would need in order to really kickstart the bonds side, because without the payment leg integrated in the asset leg, we will still have more risk than before. And what risk can underlie if you transfer your money to a bank? You can see in Silicon Valley Bank. So therefore, we need to have something in the Euro system which is connected to a DLT in order to have both legs, the payment leg and the settlement leg, basically in one system.
Yeah, very excellent points. Going a little bit in the operational domain. We have from the audience out there, we have two questions to Melanie. The question, where is it? Here. How far is Deutsche Bank with regard to their digital asset roadmap in terms of, is there a roadmap? How far are you? And so on and so forth. Probably you cannot say too much, but you
I try my best.
Say. And another question would be, in case there are gaps in terms of internal transformation, knowledge, intersection between various departments, you highlighted this. How is Deutsche Bank trying to fill those gaps internally?
Mm-hmm. So maybe regarding the first question, yes, we do have a strategy and we do have a rolled out plan regarding the whole digital asset and currency setup or strategy, where, for example, my job, so the onboarding of clients that are virtual asset service providers is, for example, one pillar. We are working on the custody piece as one major topic. We are also working on tokenization. We also did have a first internal test transaction of a tokenized bond. I think it was 100,000 euro, the amount. So we did have a first internal test transaction on that piece. And yeah, we're also looking into tokenized money, for example. We are exploring metaverse, we are exploring DeFi use cases, but yeah, I cannot dive into much detail on this. And regarding the second question, so the education thing, I think that is one thing that we now as Deutsche Bank prioritize, and we are building internal knowledge transfers. We are doing workshops, for example. I don't know if I also was, for example, part of the DLT Talents program. So we do take the opportunity to also get the people out there and get education about this topic and bring it back into the organization to spread it further. So there's a lot of things we're currently doing. For example, also just being close to the market, speaking with our client. What are your needs? What is currently going on? What do you want a bank like us to support you with? Yeah, just to gain the oversight, to build up the knowledge and to connect the teams so we all know what we're working on, what is important.
Yeah, and I have to also say thank you here to also Bert at KfW, because both of you are sponsoring our DLT Talents program, where we now have educated more than 1,000 women for the field to increase the share of females in the field. This works exceptionally well, and it would not work without US sponsors. I can also say here that the European Commission decided to not support us financially, even though we have found a very nice project where we educated now more than 1,000 women in the field. So it does work. And you see also here that education with this type of learning works very well. You have also been part of this program, Melanie, right? You mentioned this. Okay, and now last round concerning MiCA and the DLT Talents, the DLT pilot regime. Volker, what's happening with regard to MiCA? How will this change the existing law architecture we have in Germany, for example, concerning the crypto custody rules? Will it be easier or will it be more complex? Are these laws colliding? How will this work?
I mean, it's MiCA is very facet rich. I mean, there are lots of things. There are even certain things not be solved, like non-fungible tokens like NFT are not inside there yet, but hopefully there will be some amendments or some other ways to cover them. I think from the legal opinions I heard from the lawyers, there will be any bank in Germany who is regulated. They will get a by far lower bar for the crypto custody. And as I said, the big organizations, the banking organizations are working on crypto custody. And I think crypto custody is kind of a new anchor product, because it's the, especially to focus this on retail. For me, it's the new anchor product. How to get in touch with the clients is the crypto custody and is a wallet. And you should not leave this share and this contact to the customer to Coinbase or others, because it's really important, and and we expect that there will be really a kind of disruptive movement on that, because once the infrastructure is there and there is a good regulation for or a solid regulation for this, then all the things. I mean, if you have a wallet, you can provide, for example, as a small bank, you can provide to your customers a wallet straight away. You got the trust, and if you come across all the non-financial risks coming with crypto custody, if you solve these ones, then you can do many things. I mean, all the tokenizations, they are based on the on Ethereum. Mainly, you have this wonderful ERC standards, where the programmers are really happy to have their ERC 721 or 1155 or what have you. And with this standards and the crypto custody in place at scale, and with all the clients, I mean, there are so many use cases, and it's once the infrastructure is there, you just have to, you can focus on the smart contracts, and we see real potential. I mean, last thing is how to get the ownership linked to the token. There is some challenges, especially if you would like to make it at scale. I mean, if you have big tickets like with real estate, it's fine. And I think, Enno is shaking their head, of course. I mean, there are other things to scale this, but I think once we get some good idea how to scale this, I think there will be much dynamic coming with this. So the infrastructure is laid out, and it's going to be in 2025 or already. So I'm quite positive on that.
To add something, Volker, I wasn't shaking my head. I couldn't agree more. I think we need the regulation to have the big players adopt these possibilities. We need more market movements. We need more players to be in concurrence to each other, to have more price, fighting for the best custodians, for the best cryptocurrencies, for the best transaction players and the best marketplaces. Because right now we have just a few players and the prices are quite high. And as I mentioned, quite high infrastructure prices lead to inefficient products. So the regulation opens up the market for more adoption. More adoption means more players, and more players on the market mean better prices. And so I wasn't shaking my head. I was agreeing 100%. We need the regulation, we need more players, and we need better products in the outcome of more market movements.
Absolutely agree.
That was a very nice closing word. I know we are over with our time. It was very exciting, and we didn't even touch Bitcoin, right? So it was very exciting talking about digital securities. We see lots of things moving, as we have discussed. And yeah, maybe we see each other at the Crypto Assets Conference next week, Wednesday and Thursday. Great. Thanks much, and have a nice day, everybody.
See you around.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.